Taken from the book, The Happiness of Extroverts, quote, "Previous studies have found that happiness correlates strongly with extroversion, but the explanation is not known. The present study explores the hypothesis that it is due to the greater participation of extroverts in social activities." 130 subjects were given the 29-item Oxford Happiness Inventory, the E-scale of the EPQ, and 37-item scales for enjoyment and participation in social and other activities. Factor analysis of the last two scales found 4 and 5 factors respectively, including 2 social factors in each case. It was found that extroverts enjoy and participate more in social activities, that happiness is correlated with extroversion and enjoyment and participation in social activities. Multiple regression showed about half of the greater happiness of extroverts can be explained by their greater participation in social activities. Human behavior. Human behavior is the response of individuals or groups of humans to internal and external stimuli. It refers to the array of every physical action and observable emotion associated with individuals, as well as the human race. While specific traits of one's personality and temperament may be more consistent, other behaviors will change as one moves from birth through adulthood. In addition to being dictated by age and genetics, behavior, driven in part by thoughts and feelings, is an insight into individual psyche, revealing among other things attitudes and values. Social behavior, a subset of human behavior, study the considerable influence of social interaction and culture. Additional influences include ethics, social environment, authority, persuasion and coercion. The behavior of humans and other organisms or even mechanisms falls within a range, with some behavior being common, some unusual, some acceptable, and some beyond acceptable limits. In sociology, behavior in general includes actions having no meaning, being not directed at other people, and thus all basic human actions. Behavior in this general sense should not be mistaken with social behavior, which is a more advanced social action, specifically directed at other people. The acceptability of behavior depends heavily upon social norms and is regulated by various means of social control. Human behavior is studied by the social sciences, which include psychology, sociology, economics, and anthropology. Behavior changes throughout an individual a circumflex Euro-s life, as they move through different stages of life. For example, adolescence, parenthood and retirement. Human behavior is shaped by psychological traits. For example, extroverted people are more likely to introverted people to participate in social activities like parties. Personality traits vary from person to person and can produce different actions or behavior from each person. Social norms also impact behavior. Due to the inherently conformist nature of human society in general, humans are pressured into following certain rules and displaying certain behaviors in society, which conditions the way people behave. Different behaviors are deemed to be either acceptable or unacceptable in different societies and cultures. Genetics. Long before Charles Darwin published his book On the Origin of Species in 1858, animal breeders knew that patterns of behavior are somehow influenced by inheritance from parents. Studies of identical twins as compared to less closely related human beings, and of children brought up in adoptive homes, have helped scientists understand the influence of genetics on human behavior. The study of human behavioral genetics is still developing steadily with new methods such as genome-wide association studies. Evolutionary psychology studies human behavior as the product of natural selection. Human psychology and behavior is shaped by our evolutionary past. According to evolutionary psychology, humans try to increase their social status as much as possible. This increases their chances of reproductive success. They may do this by fighting, amassing wealth or helping others with their problems. Social norms. Social norms, the often unspoken rules of a group, shape not just our behaviors but also our attitudes. An individual a circumflex Euro-s behavior varies depending on the groups they are a part of, a characteristic of society that allows their norms to heavily impact society. Without social norms, human society would not function as it currently does. Humans would have to be more abstract in their behavior, as there would not be a pre-tested, normal, standardized lifestyle, and individuals would have to make many more choices for themselves. The institutionalization of norms is, however, inherent in human society, perhaps as a direct result of the desire to be accepted by others, which leads humans to manipulate their own behavior in order to fit in with others. Depending on their nature and upon one's perspective, norms can impact different sections of society both positively, e.g. attending birthday celebrations, dressing warm in the winter, and negatively, e.g. racism, drug use. Creativity. Creativity is a fundamental human trait. It can be seen in tribes' adaptation of natural objects to make tools, and in the uniquely human pursuits of art and music. The creative impulse explains the constant change in fashion, technology and food in modern society. People use creative endeavors like art and literature to distinguish themselves within their social group. They also use their creativity to make money and persuade others of the value of their ideas. Religion and spirituality. Another important aspect of human behavior is religion and spirituality. According to a Pew Research Center report, 54% of adults around the world state that religion is very important in their lives. Religion plays a large role in the lives of many people around the world, and it affects their behavior towards others. For example, one of the 5 pillars of Islam is zakat. This is the practice whereby Muslims who can afford to are required to donate 2.5% of their wealth to those in need. Many religious people regularly attend services with other members of their religion. They may take part in religious rituals, and festivals like Diwali and Easter. How religious commitment varies by country among people of all ages. The wide collection of cross-national Pew Research Center surveys analyzed in this report on age gaps in religious commitment can also be used to look at the ways religious observance varies among all adults. A circumflex euro, defined as people ages 18 and older, a circumflex euro, in different parts of the world. The 4 standard measures of religious commitment, affiliation, importance of religion, worship attendance and frequency of prayer, used in this report may not be equally suitable for all religious groups. In particular, rates of prayer and attendance at worship services generally are seen as reliable indicators of observance within Abrahamic faiths. A circumflex euro. Christianity, Islam and Judaism. A circumflex euro, but they may not be as applicable for Buddhism, Hinduism and other Eastern religions. In fact, religious identity itself is often conceived of differently in East Asia, where observance is more a matter of culture and tradition as opposed to membership in a particular group. For more on religious affiliation around the world, see the Pew Research Center A Circumflex Euro's 2015 report, The Future of World Religions, Population Growth Projections, 2010 to 2050. Nevertheless, by these measures, some global patterns are clear. The most religious countries are in Africa, the Middle East, South Asia and Latin America, while people generally are less religious in Europe, North America, East Asia and Australia. Religion is very important to most people in Africa, the Middle East and South Asia overall. In the average country surveyed, 54% of adults say religion is very important in their lives. However, levels of religious commitment vary widely around the world, as well as between countries within the same geographic area. In the Asia-Pacific region, for instance, the share of those who say religion is very important in their daily lives is highest in Muslim-majority countries such as Pakistan, Indonesia and Afghanistan. In these countries, more than 90% say religion is very important. Meanwhile, Japan 10% and China 3%, where majorities of the population are religiously unaffiliated, have the lowest shares of people who say this. Attitude. An attitude is an expression of favor or disfavor toward a person, place, thing, or event. It alters between each individual. Everyone has a different attitude towards different things. A main factor that determines attitude is likes and dislikes. The more one likes something or someone, the more one is willing to open up and accept what they have to offer. An example of how one's attitude affects one's human behavior could be as simple as taking a child to the park or to the doctor. Children know they have fun at the park, so their attitude becomes willing and positive, but when a doctor is mentioned, they shut down and become upset with the thought of pain. Attitudes can sculpt personalities and the way people view who we are. People with similar attitudes tend to stick together as interests and hobbies are common. This does not mean that people with different attitudes do not interact, the fact is they do. What it means is that specific attitudes can bring people together, e.g., religious groups. Attitudes have a lot to do with the mind, which highly relates to human behavior. The way a human behaves depends a lot on how they look at the situation and what they expect to gain from it. Weather and climate. The weather and the climate have a significant influence on human behavior. The average temperature of a country affects its traditions and people's everyday routines. For example, Spain used to be a primarily agrarian country, with much of its labor force working in the fields. Spaniards developed the tradition of the siesta, an after-lunch nap, to cope with the intense midday heat. The siesta persists despite the increased use of air conditioning, and the move from farming to office jobs. However, it is less common today than in the past. Norway is a northern country with cold average temperatures and short hours of daylight in winter. This has shaped its lunchtime habits. Norwegians have a fixed half-an-hour lunch break. This enables them to go home earlier, with many leaving work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This allows them to make the most of the remaining daylight. There is a correlation between higher temperatures and increased levels of violent crime. There are a number of theories for why this is. One theory is that people are more inclined to go outside during warmer weather, and this increases the number of opportunities for criminals. Another is that high temperatures cause a physiological response that increases people's irritability, and therefore their likeliness to escalate perceived slights into violence. There is some research detailing that changes in the weather can affect the behavior of children. Thank you for watching.